Hello everybody, this is Dr. Dave. Welcome to Physics 152. I wanted to walk you through the syllabus so you can understand what some of the changes are from last term in Physics 150. If you're returning to Physics 152 now, and the last time you took physics with us was last year, there's going to be a lot of differences and a lot of changes, and so hopefully you can understand what those are here today. Remember what our big goals in this course are. Our big goals are you understanding how to do something you've never done before. What do I mean by that? If you read a brand new problem, if you look at a new idea, we don't want you to stop and freeze up. We want you to say, okay, what do I know? What can I think about? And how do I approach it? And that's really what we're after beyond even the content of the course is that core skill of being able to do something you haven't seen before. That being said, this course is all going to be about electromagnetic radiation. Electric forces, magnetic forces, understanding where light comes from, understanding circuits, and I'm going to get into that in just a minute. First things first, we have another instructor joining us this term. We have Dr. Askew joining us, so there will be 4 instructors helping teach you this material. There are a number of deadlines. These are all posted either on the syllabus or on Moodle. All assignments are due by their deadlines. If you have a problem, again, we are in the middle of a global pandemic. If you have a problem with turning things in, if you have a problem with staying on schedule, we need you to reach out to us as soon as you can. Sometimes students will email us weeks later and say, oh, by the way, I forgot. There's not a whole lot we can do at that point. We know you're stressed. We know you're worked hard. Reach out to us as soon as possible, please. So one of the changes that from this term is we're going to have sessions with up to 4 students. And we're doing this because we want to make sure that everybody gets to interact well and everyone gets to interact effectively. Another thing that we're going to ask is to have everyone have their cameras on. It's really hard to come into a group and have 6 letters on the screen representing people and wondering if anyone's actually understanding anything you're saying. So we do need you to have those cameras on, and we do need to have you plugged in and engaged. Obviously, if you're having some tech issues, we'll talk with you, but it really is important to have you plugged in. If your camera is off, then you've got to pick up the speaking mode. You've got to engage more there. We do need to have you plugged in. We do need to have you in the course. That being said, what's going to happen is you're going to spend 15 minutes with your group of 4 people, and then after that 15 minutes, a TA is going to join you. After that 15 minutes, an instructor is going to come in and see you. And the sign-up times for that are all on Moodle. Like last quarter, we're going to have weekly assigned problems. You're going to get those problems generally by Sunday night leading into the next week. The first of those problems we do on Wednesday. The second of those problems we do on Friday. The exception is week 1. Everything is due on Friday. Every week as well, you're going to have an online quiz. And that online quiz is going to be a little bit different than you've seen before. That online quiz, instead of being about general topics from the reading, we've restructured them, and they're now referred to as online preparation quizzes. These are almost like a pre-lab in chemistry. We're asking you questions about the material that you'll be looking at that week. It is multiple choice, and you do get several attempts at each of the quizzes. Those will be due by Sunday night, starting week 2 on. Week 1, we give you until Tuesday night. So back to those problems. These problems are going to be graded a little bit differently than they have before. The problems will now be out of 1.5 points. And this is to allow us a little bit more flexibility in grading. Some students are really good at writing down all the mathematics. They can get everything they need stepwise on a paper, but then they provide no explanations. And we really want to be clear that that is not acceptable, and that will not be awarded full credit. So if you get all the math right, but there are no words on your page to explain how you've done it or what you've tried to do, that's going to be at most 1 point. If you want to earn that 1.5 on every assignment, we do need you to provide those explanations as well. And then if you make a lot of mistakes or there's missing material or explanations are insufficient, that's going to get you in the 0.5 range. And if you turn it in and just haven't really made any effort, it's going to be a 0. So you have lots of opportunities to reach out and talk to us. You have lots of opportunities to see us in office hours. You can also contact any of us on Teams for help at any time. So please do reach out. Please do contact us. We want to help you. All right. We've laid out as well on the syllabus some common things that students are doing that we need to get fixed. For example, significant figures. We don't stress significant figures that much in physics. However, occasionally we do see something like 4.321879, blah, blah, blah. That's nonsense, right? That's nonsense. If you're measuring something to meters and you report to that, now you're talking centimeters, millimeters, width of a human hair, a tenth of the width of a human, and this is what we're seeing. We have to stop doing that. We also have students that are not simplifying very straightforward algebra results. And why is that? Well, because people are afraid of getting it wrong. Well, we're kind of going to take the opinion that if you don't simplify, then it's wrong anyways, meaning it's not going to get full credit. We need you to look for things like this, and we need you to do those proper simplifications. You can't be leaving results like this because often you're missing the point of the problem. We're not looking to be punitive. We're not looking to make your lives harder, but we need you to take a minute and look at your answer and ask, does it make any sense? Can I make it simpler? Can I make it easier to read? And you can always bring that to us. You can always say, Dr. Dave, Dr. Boschnick, Dr. Cole, does my answer make sense? Now, we might ask you, well, why do you think it makes sense? And that can get frustrating. But our goal is to help you develop that internal dialogue, to help you look at your answers critically so that you really feel like you're learning something in the course. Like last term, we're going to have video presentations. These are going to be an up to 5-minute long video loaded onto Microsoft Streams. Instructions will be on Moodle for this. And I want to be really clear, it's up to 5 minutes. There are several students who continue to give us 8, 9, 10, 11-minute long videos all the way to the end of the term. I am instructing all of our TAs to stop watching at 5 minutes. So everything that you include in that video beyond 5 minutes will not be watched by anyone. Please keep yourself to 5 minutes. And these videos will be graded to 1 or 0 points. We also want to be clear. If you get your homework turned back to you and it says you made a mistake and then you make a video and you do not correct that mistake, that will count against you. You have to be reading the comments in your homework. If you don't understand the comments, and sometimes that's the case, we might write something, we think it's clear, but it's kind of vague, ask. You have the right to ask, what are these comments? What does this mean? Please reach out. Please ask us. We need you to take ownership of the material and what you're learning. Please talk to us. Okay. As I mentioned already, we're going to have these online preparation quizzes that are really targeted to help you be ready to do the homework problems in the course. We're also going to have oral assessments. These are probably the biggest source of stress and fear from students last term. We don't want that to be the case. We've renamed them from oral exams to oral assessments, and we've done this to try to be clear about what we're after. We are trying to have a conversation with you. It's limited to 8 minutes, so it's got to be pretty fast, but we're trying to have a conversation with you about what you have learned in this course. What have you absorbed about these problems? Now, we're not just asking you random questions that you have to somehow have encyclopedic knowledge of. We're asking you specifically about the problems you've already done. Now, that might mean that we change a detail about that problem, but we are asking you specifically about things that you've already thought about. We're asking you specifically to tell us what you know and what you've learned. That doesn't mean it's easy. It's not. It is hard. And if you practice, if you prepare, if you pair up with another student, you can expect to get a 7 on these. Students who do really well get a 10. Students who don't do as well, they get lower. These are hard, no questions asked. But the goal of them is to make sure that you know what you're doing. So if we ask you a question and you feel puzzled for a minute, take a moment in your mind. Figure out what we're asking you. Ask us a question, and then let's go. But it's not really about encyclopedic knowledge. We're really trying to understand what it is that you know and how it is that you're thinking. That's really what we're after. All right. The textbook is the same as before. I want to break down the points in the course. We have 10 points coming out of these preparation quizzes. We have 30 points coming out of these homeworks. we have 20 points coming out of attendance. So from doing the quizzes, from doing the homework, and from showing up twice a week, that gives you 60 points in the course. And each point is a percent. Doing the 5 preparation videos for 10 points each, at the end of this, you've got 70 points, or 70%, a C minus. So if you get all that stuff done, and very few mistakes, somewhere around a 70%, maybe 65%. Now you add on top of that the 3 oral assessments for a maximum of 30 more points. And so you're now sitting somewhere, hopefully, in the high B to high C range. We really want everyone to do pretty well in this course. Last quarter, we gave out more A's and A minuses than we have in a while. And we're okay with that. We think that the students have performed quite well. So we'd like that to continue. But we also know that for students to try hard and to engage, they have to feel the course is fair. And so to that end, we are really trying to make this as transparent as possible. We're trying to make it as fair as possible. And what you need is located here. Speak to us about any concerns you have. Speak to us about any questions you have. Let us know any other issues that you may have. I want to just mention diversity and anti-racism is very important to us. If anyone is making anybody feel uncomfortable in this course, you need to let us know. If someone is making jokes that are inappropriate, if someone is treating you different because of your gender identity, we need to know. We need to know so we can step in and stop it. If you witness behavior, we need you to try to speak up. And if you can't speak up or you don't feel comfortable speaking up, reach out to us and let us know what's going on. Everyone deserves to feel safe in our classroom, period. There are no exceptions to this. I want to acknowledge that Kalamazoo College is built on the land of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. We are on land that was never properly compensated for. We are on land that's stolen, and we have to respect that. So that land acknowledgement's there. You can read it. You can look into it. If you ever want to talk about it, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So now you might be wondering, well, what are we really learning? Like, what's the class really about? Well, the course is about, fundamentally, understanding light and electromagnetic radiation. However, it's going to be a really long time before we say the word light. The first thing we're going to learn about is electric charges. And we're going to learn about how electric charges create something called electric fields. What's an electric field? An electric field is something that is represented by vectors at every point in space. And you're probably not sure what the heck that means. Well, good news is the first problem talks about this in depth, as well as your reading in chapters 25 and 26. And then we're going to look at how do fields interact with electric charges. And we're going to see that this is how we create forces at a distance. If you remember in Physics 150, we had normal forces and friction forces and tension forces, etc. But all of those forces were fundamentally contact forces. The only force that we had in Physics 150 that was not a contact force was gravity. And as it turns out, gravity is mediated by the gravitational field. So now in this course, we're going to be looking at the electric fields. Once we understand how to create forces at a distance, we're going to understand how to create electric currents and how to create electric circuits. From that, we're also going to study about how electric currents create magnetic fields. We're going to learn that there isn't a separate magnetic charge. And so this is our first sort of hint as to what's happening. That is, electric currents or moving charges somehow produce magnetic fields. What's interesting about that is things like electrons create electric fields. And then if you make those electrons move, they create magnetic fields, which is kind of weird if you think about it, right? How can it create both kinds of fields? What we're going to then learn is that when you change magnetic fields, you create electric fields and vice versa. So changing electric fields would then produce magnetic fields. Well, once you add in some oscillations or waves, lux esto, you've got light. So we get these oscillating electric and magnetic fields that produce one another that cause self-propagation, which is what we refer to light. And so then we're going to understand from that that light is a wave. It is not a particle. And that's really interesting, because that means light doesn't act like a ball bouncing, right? It acts different. Well, then we're going to show you through the use of optics that light is actually a particle and not a wave. Let me say that again. We're going to teach you that light is a wave and not a particle. And then we're going to teach you that light is a particle and not a wave. And we're going to learn something really fundamental about the universe in that. And that is light has duality. Light can appear to be a wave, or light can appear to be a particle based on the kind of interaction you're looking at. And if you decide, gosh, I need to know more, Physics 220 is offered in the fall, and you can begin to learn more there. Welcome to Physics 152. There are very few students in this course that have ever seen any of this material before. It is going to be new for all of you. It is some of the most exciting things that we teach at the introductory level, and hopefully you get a lot from it. Thank you.